Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I thought I would kind of give you guys a more informal video. Okay, let's be honest, all my videos are pretty informal, but more so just like kind of an update on how my system has changed a little bit since my previous videos, as well as how I'm continuing to use the GTD method and implement it in my daily planning, okay? So since I talked to you guys last, I think the last time I saw you guys, I was in my FC Compact in the Personal Versa, which I still am. Like, it's still very chunky, very filled out. You know, I had showed you guys my GTD section and everything. And I still have left kind of everything in here, but I just found, like, because I was putting all my cards and everything in here, it slowly turned into like more of a reference binder because it's so chunky and like I just can't carry it every day. And you guys kind of know that I'm doing renovations, I'm just always on the go, and it was just too hard for me to grab it. It's like my current temporary desk is like so small, it's literally like the size of this screen, so it just couldn't fit. So I've kind of moved on a little bit and shifted gears a little bit. So I'll bring this guy in quickly. This is what I have been doing, kind of, it's like a mix of pre-planning for the week. Like I kind of do this at the beginning of the week and it just lays flat on this desk. It's very thin, like, you know, I can put stuff on top of it. It doesn't really matter. I kind of need like that weekly view with the time, you know, just to kind of get organized. But then I also use a daily insert, I guess, to kind of organize each day, because, you know, I plan at the beginning of the week and then like by the next day on Tuesday or whatever, it's already changed. So let me kind of show you guys what's been going on. So I think I still had this and I showed you guys this, but this is like the Fobonichi weeks, and I still do my pre-planning in here. So if something comes up and, you know, in the upcoming weeks, I've already dated this, and so I do add it to here. And from there, I then put it into the Hobonichi cousin. So at the beginning of the week, I'll copy over what's in the pre-planning into here. And this is nice because when I'm on the go, you know, I have a monthly section that I've booked in like the big events. And then at the end of the month, or the beginning of the next month, sorry, I fill out like and put in those items into the weekly section. So not to confuse you guys, but like right now it's July, right? So I'll have moved all the July stuff into the July weeks. And if something comes up now, I just put it into the weekly in the July because I'm in that month. So I'm not going to go back to July monthly and update it. I'm just going to update it in the weeklies because I'm in this month. Does that make sense? And then from here, I will, at the beginning of each week, move the stuff that's in pre-plan for that week, and I will move it into here. So then it becomes timed, you know, kind of in this layout, and that gives me like a good overview of what's happening in the week. And kind of, I need this, I don't know why, I used to not be like this, but I kind of need that like timed view now. I don't know if it's because I have kids or what it is, but anyways, this makes it easier for me to digest. And then this I do at the beginning of the week. Then after I do this for the next day, so the night before, what I do, I created this weekly bundle, weekly/daily GTD bundle that should be up in my shop, and I'll list my shop below in the description below. For those of you guys who don't know, I have an Etsy shop, Mommy Plan, same name. I only sell printable planner inserts. Yeah, so I designed this, and this is just in the Hobonichi Weeks memo size because I've been using this on the go, but by the time it's up, for sure, the A5 and personal size rings will be the first ones listed, so those will be in my shop, and more sizes to come, of course. But again, you guys don't need to use this. You know, I always say, like, you can just use blank pieces of paper or whatever you want, right? This is just how my system works, and obviously because I have a planner shop, I'm gonna create like inserts as I go. Anyways, I digress. Okay, so what I do is, and I'll show you, I think this was last week. Okay, so how the insert is laid out is it's like a flap thing. So you'll have like here it says this week in GTD, and so I have like a next action section, as well as a waiting on. So what's my next actions for this week and what am I waiting on? And I'll show you how I incorporate this with the GTD bundle that I have. For those of you guys who don't know, I will list in the cards and below, you know, my GTD overview video. For those of you guys who haven't watched, I kind of explain the GTD system and how I implement it at a high level with these inserts. And then this is kind of how I incorporate that into my daily planning and weekly planning. Does that make sense? Hopefully it makes sense by the time I'm done this. Okay. So let me just walk through the inserts so that you guys have a high level, you know, view of what's going on, and then I'll dive into the details, okay? So in this little flap on this side, you have the next actions for this week and what am I waiting on, like I just said. And then on the back of this little flap is kind of like a weekly overview. So here I kind of put like main events that's happening, and I like kind of a week overview of that, even though like when I do daily plans, it's just kind of nice to see in that week, you know, what major events are happening. I mean, there's not that many, like we're just kind of getting out of COVID where I am in Ontario and Canada. But anyway, so there's not that much. And then I have like the dailies that you put in between. So Monday, Tuesday, and you can just highlight there. And so on the one side is the schedule, and I have 4 a.m. to 3 a.m. Then I have these 3 sections, like it's blank at the top so that you can use it for priorities or meals, but I usually just use it for meals. A task list and then some notes at the bottom. So I have one of these for each page, and then at the back, so when you see this bundle, it'll make sense. It's easier to see in rings, but the 2 ends are kind of like the weeks, and then in between you have your daily sections. Does that make sense? Probably shouldn't have showed you this with the booklet view because it's kind of confusing, but you can see the listing hopefully when this video goes live on my Etsy. But anyways, in the back is the weekly review section, and then I have my inbox, projects, someday maybe, reference, and I'll explain how I use these. And then of course on this back is just for the next week and just what I explained to you guys, right? Okay, so now that you kind of have like a concept of what the inserts look like, I'll dive deeper. So let me backtrack now that you guys have a view of that. Is how does this all relate to my main GTD inserts, right? Last time you guys saw it in the FC compact size, I just moved it into pocket, like I said, just because I needed something smaller. So same as before, I have my inbox, and I've condensed it and cleaned it up when I moved it over, but usually this list is quite long. So in my inbox, I've categorized each of my items into the various sections. I'm not going to talk about like how to categorize it and stuff because I talk about that in the overview video. Yeah, because I just don't want to overlap, but you guys can check that video if you want to know more details. Okay, so I have still my inbox section, my next actions, what I'm waiting on, online orders, projects, someday maybe. And then if there was like general stuff, it would be back here. So what I do at the beginning of the week when I'm doing my weekly planning, I will go to here and go into my next actions and just browse here and see if there's anything from here that I want to get done this week, right? So obviously you guys know that it's not necessarily like calendar specific items, because those you would have already put into your calendar. Like if it's day and time specific, you would have already added that straight into your calendar and it wouldn't have been on the next actions list. But you're still going to have tasks that maybe you want to tackle that week. You know that you have extra time or whatever, and you just want to do it that week, right? Like it doesn't have to be time specific, but you want to do it that week. That makes sense, right? So I scan here and I just add it to this week, okay? And that's what I do in this little tab section. So it's the stuff that was already in my inserts that I moved over for this week that I want to get done. Then at the bottom, I'll go also similarly go into the waiting on list. And if there's anything that I think I'm waiting on, like that should be coming this week, I put it here. So like it could be like, you know, you made an online purchase and like I think it's supposed to be getting delivered this week because I got a delivery update or whatever. Then I'll put it here just to have it on my radar and know that it's coming this week. Okay, does that make sense? And keep in mind that, and I'll explain to you actually as I go. So if something comes up, for example, what do I do, right? Like if something like an action comes up, what do I do? I'll get to that. So here, keep in mind, this is the stuff that I've taken from here and migrated it over here, okay? And the reason why I only have next actions and waiting on, and for example, like not a project section here, is because in my projects here, like this is kind of capturing your full project. And remember guys, a project is more than one step. So if you have a project that you're working on and there's one like specific task that you're working on within the project, that task should have also been added to your, you know, your next action list, because you're breaking it down and working on that one step. You can't just put an entire project here because it has too many steps, right? You guys follow? And so really you can't still have things here that's related to a project, but it's the one item. So for example, I'm doing my renovations right now. If I need to, you know, go pick up a faucet or whatever, I just say, pick up faucet from whatever store, right? I wouldn't put like renovations here because that's way too big, right? Does that make sense? And I guess the other thing is that you could technically be working on is a someday maybe item, but just because this is like kind of far and in between, I just didn't think it was relevant to have a section here for it, so I just didn't put it here. But technically you could, and again, same concept is like if you decided that you did want to do something from the someday maybe, you'd probably move it to your next actions anyways. Does that make sense? Because it's no longer like a someday maybe, it's like I want to do it now kind of thing. Okay. Oh, and the other waiting on thing is like, obviously it could be something you delegated to somebody else and you think it's gonna come in this week. Just another example. Okay. So then from there, what I do, I carry on with, sorry, I'm just readjusting myself. So then I carry on with my daily planning. And, you know, if a task comes up or something comes up, I'll just write it in my tasks section for that day. And I carry on to the next day, etc., okay? Pretty straightforward. Now, what do I do at the end of the week for undone tasks, right? So in the GTD book, they talk about how like it's kind of inefficient to like migrate your tasks from one day to the next, to the next, to the next. So I do sometimes do that. I do break the rule and sometimes do that. If it's something that like I didn't get done and I know I have to do it the next day, I will rewrite it and just say I migrated it to the next day. But if it's something that like I may or may not get done the next day, I'll just leave it for now. Okay. I just won't check it off or whatever. And so get to the end of the week, and I haven't filled this out yet, but what I do here is in this section, I write down, kind of how I did this week, kind of the things that, I need to work on, or things that worked for me or didn't work for me. Sometimes I do a little bit of just like, more journal-y type things here. But that's what I use this space for. And then what I use here, like these sections, is for the things that I didn't complete here, I'll move it here to condense it, or not to condense it, to summarize it, so that I can then shift this into here. So do you see that? Do you see how I've started here, moved to here, then at the end of the week, I'll consolidate and move it back. Does that make sense? That way, these inserts are always updated and complete, right? And so that I don't get confused. So like what I would do is, so I would go back and just check if anything wasn't done. So for example, like I was supposed to list this bundle last week, and it's been so busy. Like I've been trying to plan my daughter's birthday, and like with COVID and restrictions, like I have to plan like 3 different get-togethers. And then with renovations going on, we're trying to book some trips. Like, anyways, there's just been a lot to do. So I didn't get a chance to list it, right? So what I would do is at the end of the week is I'm going to list it here, kind of summarize it here. So that would be like an inbox item, and I would put it into the inbox. Sometimes in the week, I could have thought of projects to do, right? Like if I thought, oh, I'm going to refurbish, like, I don't know, a drawer or something, I'll add it to the projects. Or if it's something that I'm going to do in the future, then I'll add it to like this someday maybe section. Or any reference items that might have come in that week, I'll add it here. So I made like just very small sections for these because it's like unlikely that there's going to be a lot in these sections, but it is different than like an inbox item. So I didn't want to like categorize it out. Does that make sense? And so what I'll do is I'll take the open items, and from here, I will migrate it into the respective sections in my inserts. Unless for some reason I got it done at the end of the week. Otherwise, I migrate it into here. And then that way, it just kind of gives me like a good overview of like how many open items, how many things came up this week, that I'm then migrating over here. Does that make sense? And that's kind of what I've been doing on a weekly basis, and it's been working well. I think that's kind of the hard part about GTD sometimes, is like, what I was finding is like, it's great to have, this system and this bundle and, these things and these inserts and like, coming to check it every couple of days. But I just felt like that wasn't like as integrated into my daily planning system. And that's why I felt like I had to create this, and also figure out a way to like align them together, to make it all work. So does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Other than that, just a general update. The next thing that I'm going to try, I'm all over the place. I swear I'm switching planners like every other week. The next thing I'm going to try is like mini HP again. I tried the size before and disc before, and I liked the size. And the problem I had was that like I found it kind of hard to like turn pages because I find the discs kind of sticky. And I don't know if that's because like it's just the plastic discs, or like I know aluminum is a little bit better, but I just like the aesthetic of the clear ones. And with like the cloth and paper last sub box with all the mini HP stuff, I don't know, I just wanted to try it again. So I ordered a bunch of mini HP stuff from the cloth and paper site, and when that comes in, I'll show you guys. But I'm thinking about giving it another try, and I got like the huge rings, like the 1.5 inch rings. Anyways, don't know what I'm gonna do with it, but I'll show you guys when it comes in. If there's some trick to like, getting the pages to turn with clear disc, please let me know. These I just got from AliExpress, so maybe it's just like defect discs, who knows. But anyways, I think that's all I got for you guys. So thank you guys for watching. If you guys have any more questions about GTD and want further details, let me know in the comments below. I was thinking of kind of doing an in-depth series on GTD. For example, like doing one about, the inbox, and then another one about next actions, or I don't know, some sort of in-depth series by section. I don't know if there's interest for that. Yeah, or another tutorial. Let me know down below. And thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy these types of videos, and I'll see you next time. Bye.